Hey, Chef Todd, did you make these cookies?
Actually, I made those cookies.
Yeah, right. Steve the baker. No, seriously.
I did.
You? I'll believe it when I see it. See?
Well, they're right there. To see.
I think he's gonna tell me this most thriving man made these rolls.
Of course I made these rolls. А как же, я сделал, конечно. I don't always bake rolls, but when I do, I bake using Thrive Honey Holy Dough Mix. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thrive It Up!
Starring Chef Todd Leonard.
Pull to the edge of the thing.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host for the evening, Thrive Life's own Director of Marketing, Eric Morgan.
Welcome to Thrive It Up, everybody. Summer is right around the corner, and that is good news for us because that means our classic lemonade is back. Starting tonight, it is now available for the summer. It is seasonal, and we're expecting it to go pretty fast. I know I'm expecting it to go fast in my pantry because it is delicious. So, great news, lemonade is back. Get it on your queues immediately, and just have fun with the lemonade. All right, it's time to get with Chef Todd. He is going to focus on the bakery line for this Thrive It Up. So Chef Todd, take it away.
I am so excited about our bakery line. This year, 2014 convention, we launched golden cornbread, classic cookies, vanilla sugar cookies, white and wheat dough mixes. This is going to bring Thrive alive in your home, and it's super easy and convenient. I want to show you today how easy it is to use our bakery line. First, we're going to start with our cornbread. Pantry Can makes one delicious pan of golden cornbread. Do your pop top. Put your mix right in there. And I'm looking for my oxygen absorber. You're going to want to move that. Put that back in there. Pop that back on. Put that in the recycler. And off you go. Okay, this is the hard part. You're going to mix 1.5 cups of water into this golden cornbread mix. It requires a whisk. Oh baby, this is the Thrive way. Super easy, super convenient, and great tasting. We're going to mix this until it completely is mixed together well, but not certainly over mixing it. You can see that it's pretty lump free, smooth, silky. That's it. Next, you can take some butter or you can take some pan spray. Either way, to grease or basically create a layer to prevent and help a non-sticking environment. And also, I like to use butter, but also it does add a little layer of flavor, and it also adds a little layer of crust or crunch as that butter will melt in and create that wonderful layer of crust. Next, you're going to add your batter right into the 8x8 pan. Make sure you scrape your bowl and get all that goodness out. You don't want to lose any of your Thrive love. Now we're ready to go into the oven. You want to cook this at 375 degrees, and you're going to want to bake the cornbread for 25 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven, or until golden brown and the toothpick comes out clean. After 25 to 30 minutes of cooking and you see the cornbread golden brown and delicious, pull it out of the oven. And then coat the top with butter or honey if you desire. Let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes, and then try to let it last longer than 10. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the cornbread. This next bakery line product is dear to my heart. I love a good chocolate chip cookie. And our classic cookie dough mix is going to replace yours at home. We hope. So first, we want to get our can. On your cue, order this. Classic cookie dough mix. This is just a great one. You're gonna love. Pop the top. Okay? Step 1 and 2, pretty easy. Next step, take 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. And this is room temperature butter. It's not real soft, but definitely soft. And all you need to do is just give this a couple turns, just to get it a little bit smooth and ready to go. After the butter has lightly softened and you've kind of mixed it up, not really to get it fluffy. The fluffier you get the butter, the more spread you will have in your cookie. So just take that little note. Now look, we formulated this cookie with whole butter. The reason why we use whole butter, or suggested on the can, is for the ultimate result. It does give the best cookie. Our butter powder, reconstituted, is the best substitute when you don't have butter, or if you just want to use our butter. Absolutely use it. But we just found that the butter is a common ingredient in most people's kitchens, and that would work great in this recipe. So, whether it's our butter or whether it's market butter, just lightly fluff that butter. Then mix in your cookie dough mix, classic cookie dough mix, looking for that ever so wonderful oxygen absorber. Okay, 1 whole can is going to make 36 cookies. There's our oxygen absorber. Okay, now we're going to turn the mixer on. Let the butter and the dry ingredients mix together. You don't need eggs for this cookie dough. They're already in it. Once you have that coming together, you're going to add some water. Now this is an important step. Read the instructions carefully. It asks for 2.5 tablespoons of water. Not 2.5 cups, or not 2.5 teaspoons, it's tablespoons of water. So we have water, 1, 2.5. That's it. Now you're gonna say, man, that just doesn't seem like enough water. Well, you have to let the dough mix in the mixer until it comes together as a dough, and it will be just the right amount. Okay, once you've allowed the dough to mix enough, you're gonna see that you have cookie dough. And so yes, it is enough water, 2.5 tablespoons per batch. Now you're gonna add your chocolate chips. 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. And just give it a couple more turns. You could add the chocolate chips in the beginning too. It really doesn't matter much. Allow the cookie dough and the chocolate chips to come together just until combined. Bada bing, bada bang, you have delicious cookie dough ready to go. Now the whole goal is to get the cookies on the sheet pan before you eat all the dough. Okay, that's important. So again, look at how delicious this cookie dough is. Ready to go, perfect texture, there's no problems there. Plenty of moisture in there. Remember, it's a butter dough, so the butter is a lot of the moisture there. Okay, now, when you put them on your cookie sheet, this cookie sheet here is a Teflon style base. Doesn't really need a lot of spraying. If you have an older cookie sheet or a different style cookie sheet, you may want to spray it lightly. For me, I actually bake my cookies on parchment. I just go a little bit of spray like that to help keep my parchment down. I put the parchment paper right over the pan. And that little spray helps give me some glue and sticking. I don't really spray it. I take my scoop, I go into the bowl, and I scoop 12 cookies onto the pan. And you want to use a scoop. Now you can certainly do a spoonful, but a scoop is going to give you perfect uniform cookies every single time, and so that the batch is consistent, and it will make 36 cookies. Once you have 12 beautifully shaped cookies, you're going to want to bake this at 350 degrees for about 7 to 9 minutes. It's not a perfect science depending on your oven, but you don't want them to get them too golden brown. These cookies are best in most people's opinions, I would say undercooked slightly. So between 7 and 9 minutes is your window. If you like them a little bit crunchy, let them go till they're a little bit more golden brown. If you like them to be soft cookies, undercook them slightly, let them rest for 10 to 15 minutes and you're good to go. With 350 degrees for 7 to 9 minutes in the oven, rock and roll. Once we pulled the cookies out of the oven, you can see slightly golden brown edges, but yet still soft and delicious. This classic cookie dough mix is going to lend itself to many, many varieties. Oatmeal, pecan, different chocolate chips. Put M&Ms in there. Puts Thrive berries in there. Thrivealize these recipes. All of our bakery line is going to lend itself to many, many wonderful things. This cookie dough mix can do up to 6, 12, who knows how many wonderful recipes I know you'll create in your home, and I hope you enjoy this wonderful recipe. Next in our bakery line lineup, we have our Country White Dough Mix. We call it dough mix because it's so versatile. Yes, it'll make donuts. Yes, it'll make scones. And certainly great, delicious pizza. But it will make the best rolls and bread. So, let's get started on making the dough. Really easy. It's 1 cup of water plus 2 tablespoons, approximately 120 degrees, 110 degrees. Add that to your mixing bowl. If you get the water too hot, it can kill the yeast. And, by the way, Thrive now carries our own yeast in little individual packets that's perfectly measured for our bread. Pour your yeast into the bowl, and you can mix the yeast right in with the dry ingredients too if you want. I've just found that it's just easy just to go water, yeast, and then the actual bread. Turn the dough with the dough hook and your mixer, turn it on. We're looking for that magic oxygen absorber. Go ahead and dump your dry mix right into After you pull the oxygen absorber out and your dough is mixing with water and yeast and the actual contents of the pantry can, you're now ready just to knead dough. On medium speed, which is about right there, I like to go about a 3 on a KitchenAid. That's about the right speed to knead the dough, and you want to let this knead for about 5 minutes, which will give it good gluten structure. After 4 to 5 minutes, you're going to see the dough is actually pulled away from the bowl. It's starting to get elastic, stretchy. That's the gluten proteins in there, and the dough seems very soft. It's a perfect mix of 1 cup, 2 tablespoons of warm water, a yeast packet of Thrive, and 1 pantry can of the Country White Dough Mix. And presto, you're going to have delicious bread, rolls, pizza dough, donuts, scones, sky's the limit. And don't forget cinnamon roll. Okay, so we're gonna stop that bad boy. We're gonna pull the dough off, out of the bowl. We're gonna work the dough just a little bit, tucking in and seaming that, forming a ball. Take a bowl or a dish, spray it or butter it. Place your dough inside the dish, spray it or butter it. A little bit of plastic. Put this in a warm area for about an hour and it'll raise till it's double. Okay, now that our white dough has raised by double, you can see how fluffy, soft, and delicious this dough is. And that's what you want, is when you're kneading that, it creates air in there and things, and then the yeast also forms the gas, which allows it to rise. and that's what makes delicious bread. And so again, we want to lightly flour the surface, not too much. We want to spray our pan. We want to spray our roll pan. And we want to get the bread out very carefully, gently. After you've laid the dough on the board or on your counter, you're going to again just do the tucking. You're going to push that down to form your loaf. And we're going to roll that up. Tuck that under. And that's how easy forming your loaf is. It's a very delicate process, but you just want to crimp that sill. And you can see I have my sill there, but it's crimped enough that it's going to come together and be just fine. And then you just give that a nice roll and kind of stretch that top out. And then we're going to set that loaf right inside the pan, like so. And we're going to lightly push that down. And now that loaf is going to be able to rise. Spray it just a little bit on the top, or you can use butter. Just add a little bit of plastic. Of course, you can use a damp towel, a nice light towel, whatever you want to do to allow that to raise is fine, no problem. I usually just use plastic, but I do not cover it. I just lightly put it over there. That helps it from getting a skin on top. Okay, now again, the rolls with the white dough. Again, we're going to remove the dough very softly. Allow that to come out. We have our scale turned on. I've got it to ounces, and we're going to cut the dough to start forming the rolls. And we want about 2 1/4 ounces. And again, you don't need much flour at all, really, just kind of. And then again, we're just going to do the cupping and shaping method, stretching this dough and just kind of getting that dough into a nice little ball. Once you get it, just place it right onto your pan and allow that to rise. Repeat the process until you have all 12 rolls done. Now that our rolls are formed, they've raised by double, our bread is overflowing with love, everything is looking great. Take the plastic wrap off, and these babies are ready to go in the oven. Now, when that dough raises the first time, and then when you go to make a loaf, if you were to make pizza, you would take that dough out of the bowl and then roll that out and stretch it to your pizza shape, and then sauce it, put your toppings on, and bake that baby off. So pizza dough actually is about half the time you would take for bread and rolls, because you really don't have quite that full second raise as you would necessarily do with these. So that's that. We're going to put these babies in the oven, and we're going to get them nice and golden brown, the Maillard reaction. After your white rolls and white bread are pulled out of the oven, you can see beautiful golden crust, golden all the way around. That's what you really want, is you want to get that crust developed. But this pan is hot, and so right when the bread is hot, you want to pull that out and allow that bread to actually rack for a good hour. And I know you're going to be tempted to cut into this bread when it's out of the oven, but really it's going to be the best if you let it rest for a good half an hour to an hour. Let it completely cool. It'll cut perfectly for sandwiches, for toast, and just for eating with a lot of good butter and honey. So there's our rolls and bread, our white bread. Hope you enjoy it. I know you're going to love it, and I hope we've made it look easy for you. Thank you. For our next bakery line item, we are now going to demonstrate honey whole wheat dough mix. This is a 100% whole wheat blend of flour that also has honey in it to give you that wonderful flavor. And this dough is universal in the fact that it's going to do more than just bread and rolls, but that's what we'll demo today. It will do pizza dough, it will do cinnamon rolls. Any dough you need, this is going to perform nicely. So, all you need for this is 1 1/4 cup of warm water, 1 pack of our Thrive Instant Yeast, and 1 pantry can of our honey whole wheat dough mix. Again, we'll add 1 1/4 cup of warm water to the bowl with the dough attachment. We'll add our yeast into that. And we're going to go ahead and add our bread dough mix, making sure that we remove the oxygen absorber. Now we take the dough, we're going to turn it on between 2, 3, and 4 depending on what you want. I run it usually about 3 and allow that to knead for about 5 minutes or until you can see the actual gluten structures or strands start to develop. After the dough has had sufficient time to knead, you want to grab it and you want to just work the dough, make some seams underneath, and form a nice little loaf or ball. Spray your bowl as well as lightly spray or butter the top of your dough. Cover it with plastic. Place that in a warm spot to proof or raise. Let it raise by double, light and fluffy. After you've allowed your whole wheat dough to rise by double, you're now ready to form either loaf bread or rolls, or roll the dough out for pizza, or cut it for donuts. There's multiple things, but bread and rolls is what we're focused on. So this is 2 different doughs that we've made. I've demoed how to make the dough, and you've seen that, but I want you to note the consistency of these 2 doughs. We made them at the same time, we raised them at the same time. Okay, I'm gonna lightly, just kind of lightly flour the surface. You really don't need a ton of flour when you're gonna do it. We're first gonna form the loaf. And on the loaf, we're gonna take a regular standard pan. You can buy it at any store. And we're just gonna lightly spray it, or you can butter it or grease it, however you prefer. Lightly spray it. Then we're going to gently slide the dough gently out onto our surface, okay? Then we're going to literally take it and fold half of that in like this and actually press that down, fold the other half in, and then we're going to actually take it and roll it and lightly press that into a loaf like so. I haven't really pushed it, it's just a delicate little loaf of bread. And so you don't really need to do too much more than that to your loaf. Put it into your pan. Now you can be a little undelicate and actually just push that pan down. That's going to actually relieve the gas a little bit. And then you're going to want to just put a light spray or brush a little bit of butter on it. And then you're going to want to take just a little bit of plastic wrap and lightly cover that. And we're going to let this raise until the dough comes up to about 1 inch over the top. Not more than 1 inch, but to about 1 inch over the top of that pan, which will take about another 45 to an hour, give or take the temperature of your room you're letting that proof in. But that's pretty much how easy and delicate making a loaf is. Now to do the rolls. The rolls are similar, except for there's going to be 12, maybe even 13, depending on how big your rolls are going to be. But we're going to take the dough. We're going to lay it out onto our table. We're going to actually take just a bench scraper and a scale. I also have a sheet pan that we're going to spray to let the rolls rise on. And now you're going to cut your rolls. So in order to get your rolls consistent, you're going to want to make sure each roll is scaled to the similar weight or same weight. And in order to do that, we're going to literally just cut equal lines. And we're going to actually not do too much work. And we're going to scale that out to about 2 1/4 ounces. Okay? And then The secret of making your roll is to just kind of tuck those sides in like this and make it, but then actually you want to cup it and move your roll like this, which is going to make it nice and round. Once you have formed your nice little roll, you set it right onto your cookie sheet and allow that to raise. I want to mention my seams are down underneath, and those will all mesh together nicely as that's allowed to raise again. When you have your rolls on the pan and they're all formed and ready, I usually like to just brush them with just a little bit of butter, of course. This will help keep them from getting any dryness, and will also help give some flavor and shine during baking. If you want a lot of shine, you can try egg wash, works really good. Just use our scrambled eggs and brush a little bit of scrambled egg mix on top. That'll really give a nice crust and a nice shine to it. And you don't have to do butter or egg wash at all. You can just simply put your plastic on top very loosely and just let these rise until double, like your loaf. So now we have our loaf and our wheat rolls rising and ready to go in the oven in about 30 to 40 minutes. And I'm telling you, they won't last long on the counter. Now that your loaf bread and your rolls has risen, your loaf is at least about an inch, but not really too much more than an inch. It's about the perfect size over the top of the pan, and your rolls have at least doubled in size. You're now ready to go in the oven and bake. Now when we bake them, the rolls are going to take anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes, and the bread will be 35 to 40 minutes. But the main thing is what you're going for is a nice dark caramelization, which in baking or bread making is called the Maillard reaction. You want that delicious caramelized golden brown crust, and you want it to be nice and dark and rich. And so that's really what you're looking for during the baking process. Okay, our honey wheat dough bread is out of the oven. Beautifully shaped, beautifully formed, beautiful color and Maillard reaction. Make sure that you remove the bread from the pan. It's a little bit warm. And you want to let that bread rest on a rack, cooling rack, so that it can completely cool before cutting. Now I know you're going to want to cut into this bread, but patience and you will have a perfect slice of a delicious honey whole wheat bread. And again, these rolls are delicious and beautiful. Brush them with a little bit of butter after they come out of the oven. Just leave them as is, whatever you want to do. We hope we've made this bread easy for you to do, and it's not intimidating to you, and they shall start thriving with our new bakery line, especially these dough mixes. Our vanilla sugar cookie mix is another wonderful item in our bakery line that lends itself well to being Thrivealized, done your own way in your own home. The convenience of the can. We both have pantry and number 10 cans. The pantry can makes 24 cookies, which is what we call our batch. And to start the batch, you need some butter. Take 1.5 sticks of butter, which would be 3/4 of a cup. Add it to your mixer. Turn the mixer on. Lightly blend that just to get a little bit of lightness to it. Then we're going to crack 1 egg. Of course, Thrive eggs would be just fine to use. After you add your egg, we'll let the egg and the butter come together to combine. You're going to add 2 tablespoons of water. Pop the can, the pop top. Make sure you remove your oxygen absorber. And then go ahead and add your sugar cookie mix right into the blender. Now you're going to want to mix the sugar cookies until the dough completely forms, which takes about a minute. Once the dough has completely come together and formed into a dough, you're going to want to remove the dough. Or you can just leave it in that and place it into your bowl. Once the dough is done, you can see it's perfect for binding, rolling, packing, whatever. But at this stage, this is really the recipe for your drop style cookie. If you want to do a rollout cookie, leave this in the mixer, add an additional 2 tablespoons of flour, and then you're able to roll that dough out into a cutout or rollout style cookie. But for the drop cookie, we're going to take our dough and we're going to use a cookie scoop or scooper and bring it to the side or edge of the dish so that it's completely even. Throw that down in your hand. Roll it into a ball, pop it in your sugar, hence it is a sugar cookie. Put that onto your cookie sheet that I have lined with parchment paper. Take the palm of your hand, simply press it down. Okay? Repeat this for all 24 cookies. Again, this size of batch will make 24 cookies. If you want to change this up a little bit and you want to make a snickerdoodle style cookie, do the same exact thing, but this time put it in your cinnamon and your sugar. Put that onto your cookie sheet. Bada bing, bada bang, snickerdoodle style. Again, repeat the process until all 24 cookies have been rolled out. Now that all your cookies are packed out, you're ready to go in the oven. This cookie recipe is going to be baked at 325 degrees and cooked for about approximately 9 to 10 minutes, or until you start seeing the edges get a little bit golden. Now that our sugar cookies are out of the oven, you can see that they've shaped nicely. You can still see the nice little crunch of sugar. You can take them a little darker or leave them a little lighter, chewy, or crisp, whatever you desire. Depends on your oven and cooking. But I'm telling you, when you dive into one of these vanilla sugar cookies, you'll never go back.